smiles are very important in dementia facilities, and often some residents can survive purely on smiles alone, if you can believe it. Because for those that have been abandoned by families, they have to more or less rely on the warmth of the smiles of strangers, whether that's, their carer, who actually doesn't become a stranger in the end, they become like a friend, or the nurse, but it's often relatives who, come in with a warm smile and are cheerful and friendly to all the other residents, which makes all the difference, especially to the lonely ones. And some relatives are very generous in this way when they can see that a particular relative is not receiving any, visits. They'll go out of their way to smile and know their name and say their name and maybe invite them over for a cup of tea if they're having a cup of tea with their family member. And it's this which really creates the unity and the strength in a community, in a dementia facility. And those smiles go a long way. So when you go into the unit, make sure that you're upbeat and positive and that you can, generate that smiling capacity, so to speak, because you receive a lot in a dementia facility. It's not that it's only one way. It's never one way. When you give out the positive and the smiles, you'll get heaps of smiles back, especially if you happen to be a son, because, the women love to see, a lot of them have long lost sons who they haven't seen for years, tragically. And so when you come in as, as a male son of one of the other ladies, you can be a de facto son for them, especially if you give them a lovely, charming smile that can, keep them going for a good day or two, a week even more. So, we all need warmth as human beings. We all need warmth. We can, we can't survive without it. And if it doesn't come from our own family, then it will have to come from somewhere else. And lots of dementia residents are very strong and resilient, incredibly strong and resilient, this elderly generation, having Alzheimer's, most of them in their 80s and 90s, pioneers in New Zealand, good, strong working stock. They're so strong and resilient. You wouldn't believe that they could cope with the whole situation, but just, most of it is due to their own strength and resilience, but the warmth and the smiles and that extra support that a smile gives makes all the difference. For example, there was one Chinese lady at the unit where I worked, and she spoke no English. She didn't understand English. Her family were very supportive. One of the daughters was a machinist. She, did factory work at home. And she visited regularly, but I think she became unwell or something happened. And she stopped visiting for quite a while, 6 months or so, though she resumed later. But throughout that 6 months, there was no one from the family was visiting this Chinese woman. But, I never saw her get depressed. She was always chirpy and upbeat, a little irritating because she used to go around shoving around the furniture everywhere and closing all the curtains, and the residents used to get really irritated with her. But she'd still sort of chat away and carry on. And she had the Army General used to smile and say hello and pat her on the back or give her a handshake, often a kiss on the hand, every morning. So she loved that. And she had 2 other relatives who were very good to her. They knew her name. They'd go, Mrs. Chu or whoever. They'd go up to her, say her name, how is she? And she'd chatter away in Chinese, and they'd, yes, 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 nod, nod, maybe a little of chatter back, non-Chinese. And she survived on that. She was never down or depressed. She was always upbeat, but she knew how to absorb the warmth from strangers. You could see she was able to do that. She could absorb that warmth, those smiles, that friendliness, and it sustained her. Incredible. And there was another woman. She was say it was Daphne, and she was a very interesting lady. She'd been a nurse. She had 3 daughters. Tragically, I worked at this place for about 8 years, and I only saw one daughter once in that whole time. Apparently, they lived in Christchurch. I don't know why they were estranged, because this woman was a lovely woman. You know, she had a really warm personality. She was bright, she was interested, she was alert, she was engaged with everything. I don't know how she was deserted. You know, it's very sad, these things, but for whatever reason, anyway, she was in the unit on her own. She didn't make a particular friend with one person, but she was friendly with everybody. She was always smiling, remarkably. She had these beautiful sea blue crystal clear eyes, you know. She was sort of targeting everything, analysing everything all day. She'd just sit in the corner and watch, you know, everyone going around. And she'd, you know, smile and wave to everyone that was going by. And of course, people would smile and wave back. I mean, that is actually a good way to get a smile, isn't it? To smile to someone, you know, rather than sitting there expecting one. So anyway, she was smiling all day and getting the smiles back. And she'd often sort of take me by the hand and draw me in and say, you know, look, and she used to say to me, look at me. It was really intense, actually. And I'd bend down and look at her, and she'd, you know, look at me with these big blue sea, you know, light clear blue eyes, you know, but they sort of went on forever, you know, when you looked in them. Infinite sort of, you know, sea blue eyes. And she'd say to me, and I said to her, why are you asking me to do this? You know, taking me by the hand, drawing me in and asking me to look at you. And she used to say, I'm taking your power. And she did. I could feel it. It was really interesting. I'm taking your power. My word. I mean, movies are made of this stuff, but you don't usually see it in real life. But so anyway, she took my power, whatever that power was, and with her own power, which was magnificent, she carried on and had a happy life in the dementia facility until, very sadly, she fell and broke her hip and went to the hospital. But still, I actually went to visit her at the hospital. She recognised me. She had those famous blue eyes, still smiling, still strong, unbelievable. So there are some residents who do have that incredible amount of strength, I'd say, of people that are abandoned and still manage to lead a satisfying, strong, resilient life in a dementia facility. Probably 1 out of 20 would be able to manage that, have the strength to do that. Most people need support of some kind, you know, to be able to manage. But there are some, like this woman and the Army General, who I talk about quite a lot. His family didn't visit very much, very sporadic. And he was completely resolved, you know, resigned to the fact that he was here in this place. This was his new family now. This was his new place. He was always smiling. He got smiles from the ladies all day long. And, you know, he didn't have any problem at all with his emotional health. He was very strong intellectually, had a terrible memory, but still his life was good. So it can be done. There are these cases in dementia units, but whichever way it goes, smiles help a lot for everyone. So when we go into the dementia facility as a, you know, visiting relative, make sure, and I'm sure you do, all of you out there, but just make sure to be upbeat, you know, when you step in there, that you're upbeat and you're in giving mode, because it is important actually to be in giving mode and that you've got that spark, that smile going on, because if you're not, if you're in the other mode of depressed mode, the dementia unit vibe can quickly drag you down. So you need to sort of be prepared to do whatever you need to do. Go for a run, have a cup of coffee, visit a friend, do whatever you need to do to be upbeat. So when you go in there, you're a giver, you're a mover, a smiler, all the rest of it, and you can actually have a really good time in a dementia facility. You know, people don't realise this, but it is a community just like any other community, albeit people have got a poor memory. But it is entertaining, you can have fun, you can enjoy yourself, and if you smile all the way, it helps everyone, doesn't it? Smile on the dial and all that. Okay, so that's the end of today, just to let you know about these two lovely books, The Resident's Voice and The Resident's Rise, both from a dementia unit, from the resident's perspective, you know, their voice, what they would like and what they would, you know, what they need. And then the website, www.pietavalentine.com, in the description below has the extracts from the books and radio interviews and lots of other things. So thank you for your support and likes.